What do you think really happens after death? I think life just ends, no more no less. No one can figure out what happens because likely nothing does. In my opinion, you would basically just fall asleep and never wake up. For example, when you sleep with no dreams, it feels like you teleported to the next day, as you don't see black for 8 hours when you sleep 8 hours. Time lapses. So I think you'll just die and that's a wrap. I personally don't necessarily fear dying because I think there's little to no chance I'll even know I died or have any afterlife. It'll all just be over in the blink of an eye. People who overcomplicate death are basically just conspiracy theorists, as there is no scientific or tangible evidence to suggest there is anything after death. You get asked if you want to respawn or quit. You become an egg, in a void of nothingness. Having lived multiple lives before you realize we all are one and made up of the same thing. The ones you were mean to, you were being mean to yourself. You then awake as a newborn with no recollection of anything, until you begin life with your first memory, and it goes from there. This is when life happens all over again until we pass away again. Beliefs are different for everyone. But I'd like to believe that after death, we experience the good moments we had when we were alive. We remain in those memories that made our souls feel safe, happy, and free. I can be vague when explaining certain things sometimes, but that's one of the things I feel is true regarding what happens after death. But I know I lose a bet if I die in a cage. We decompose, I guess. I think that nothing happens. Life ends and nothing comes after. But the nothingness is beautiful. It gives us a reason to do good and be good. Not because we'll go somewhere better, but because nothingness gives life meaning. Our only reason to be alive is to make things better for the future, because our legacy is all that will be left of us. Infinite darkness. Your brain has shut down, so you can't think or feel or do anything. You're not functional, so you can't know there's darkness, it's just there. Well, there's your daily dose of depression. Energy doesn't die, it just transfers. It's like before you were born. You just don't exist anymore. I sincerely hope I'm right. I don't want eternal life in any form. Take 30 grams of shrooms, thank me later. You dead. Nothing. Death is simply the end of your consciousness. You don't know you are dead because you are no longer conscious. Life goes on and we cease to be aware of it. We don't remember being in the womb, or before, but it affects much of our life on Earth. We had no control over the birth journey and no expectations. Maybe dying is like that too. Just the next transition for our soul. Maybe we remember life on Earth, or maybe it just adds another facet to a developing spirit. I don't know how it all works, but I do believe we get to stay with the souls we love in one form or fashion. I'm hoping I will be captain of the Starship Enterprise and the crew are my friends and family. We discover strange new life and explore new civilizations. Who the fuck really knows? I'll deal with it after I'm dead. Right now I've got a life to live. A form of reincarnation. You are worm food and life goes on. Smoke someday empty and find out. I honestly feel like our purpose in infinity is to experience and evolve. Evolution in this case meaning our life is preparation for an afterlife. Not to say that I believe an afterlife would be something like we imagine from religion. More, I think that it would be something like transcending three-dimensional space and existing as a four-dimensional being. Mind you, I don't mean that specifically. I just mean to say that I think that our afterlife is something that is just so impossibly unlike our current existence that it's impossible to comprehend. And #X200B. This is part of why I believe so strongly in science, but I also don't think we can dismiss the unexplainable. It may just be that the universe exists in such a state that we as human beings are completely and utterly unable to interact on a fundamental level with even a fraction of it. And #X200B. I also want to add that I find nothingness to be completely counterintuitive. From a scientific standpoint, yes. You proceed forward with science as though there is nothingness after death, until evidence comes along that suggests otherwise, and we can use the scientific method to study it. What I don't believe is that we should ever say life after death is certainly not possible based on that science. Science is always evolving as new evidence comes along, and surely there will be things that physically limit us as human beings to see all of the evidence that the universe has to offer. I genuinely believe that whatever you think happens after death is what happens. Your conscience carries on and creates whatever afterlife you think of. One of two things. 1. Nothing, most likely. 2. Something that the human mind cannot process to be described, likely. If you don't remember the 13.75 billion years that went by before you existed, then the trillions and trillions and trillions of years that come after will pass in no time once you're gone. Close your eyes. Count to 1. That's how long forever feels. /curse Jessup, optimistic nihilism. Bill Burr said it best. Remember that time before you were born? It's like that. Nothing. I know that the ones who love us will miss us. Wholesome Keanu Reeves. I have no idea, but we'll all find out. Personally, I don't think there's anything after death. It's just lights out, your conscience stops existing. I think religion is a thing partially because of our inability to comprehend our conscience just ending, which is why there are always so many ideas about an afterlife. Of course, I could be wrong. I just find it interesting and somewhat calming to think of it that way. We don't die, we fall asleep and await God's judgment to go either to heaven or hell. You go to sleep, then you're gone. In the same place you were when the universe was born and the same place you'll be when it dies. You're finite, and wasting your time worrying about it. Nothing. What happened before life? Your family fights over your money and belongings, creating a generations-long rift in the family tree. Don't really care tbh. Either some religion is right or they're all wrong, and I'll either figure it out when I die or I won't know there wasn't anything to figure out because I'll be dead. Nothing. Once you're dead, it's just oblivion. The reverse of what happens when you're born. The components that make you who you are disorganize and you become as conscious as you were before you were alive. That is to say, you return to nothing. Poof. Nothing. Look how a computer breaks, nothing goes on after, it's just the core and that's it. Dreamless sleep forever and ever. Me? My conscious dies with my mind. I as a person cease to exist. I go nowhere, I am dead. I am destroyed. I just hope that I'm not forgotten and that my possessions don't disappear in the trash. Our consciousness transfers into another one. It's like you are a robot who someone's takes the battery off and formatted the memories. You become nothing, just an empty body without consciousness. BTW, I know my English is shit, that's not my native language. Nothing happens. We're just bags of flesh and blood. The brain turns off and that's that. There's literally nothing. Our spirit essence release from the body shield, and we return to our energy firm where we roam the universe looking for more fun things to do. Earth is really just a playground for spirits, some younger and some older, some benign and some quite warped and evil. Would be great if we took better care of Earth while we are here, but as there are likely infinite worlds where living entities can do things. I believe that after death is the same as before birth. Nothing. Nothing. You cease to exist. What happens when you die? Well, we're not completely sure. But the evidence seems to suggest that nothing happens. You're just dead, your brains stop working, and then you're not around to ask annoying questions anymore. Those stories you heard? About going to a wonderful place called heaven where there is no more pain or death and you live forever in a state of perpetual happiness? Also total bullshit. Just like all that God stuff. There's no evidence of a heaven and there never was. We made that up too. Wishful thinking. So now you have to live the rest of your life knowing you're going to die someday and disappear forever. Sorry. Ernest Cline, Ready Player One. Nothing. You don't have to pay off loans. They give your hospital bed to someone else. There are two ways I kinda believe in. 1. When you close your eyes for the last time, you immediately open them up as a newborn baby with no memories of the life before. 2. I'm not really a religious person, but I kinda believe in that there is a God who looks down to us, and when you die you go to the heaven's gate where God and his angels are. There you got judged on your life if you were a good person or bad. If you were a good person, the gates open and you can enter the garden of God, living an eternal life in paradise. If you were a bad person, the clouds above your feet opens up and you free fall back to earth as a newborn baby. Cause I think there is no hell, because hell is on earth. The ones who love us most will miss us. Keanu Reeves. Other people remember you for a bit, or a long time if you did something significant. Most of us will be forgotten.